Hello and welcome back. Last time we saw this in uncoupling ramp, I was having trouble getting it to uncouple Mark II couplings. I've made some adjustments to it. Here we've got the old micro switch, we'll just lift it up. And now we seem to have enough clearance to be able to get these two uncoupled really nicely. And we'll just pop that one back down again. We'll just throw the old switch. There we go, and then they should run over it without any problem at all, without any uncoupling. So I'm quite pleased with that. So I think it's now time to try and fit one to the old layout. And last time we saw them, it still had its ribs or fins on it. So if I just take this away, we can see I have actually removed the old ribs or fins, whatever you'd like to call them. So we'll just switch that back down again. And we'll just have a look at one I've got installed in a little bit of System 6 track here. We can see it's got its fins still on it. So you can see how that goes up and down. So I think I'm going to take out some track and we'll get one of these installed near the station. Now what I have discovered since ordering a couple more of these is in fitting the old point motor, it's probably better to leave that little piece of plastic on the end there, which will help me position the point motor a little bit more accurately. If you look down here where we've got the old point motor positioned, I think if I leave those two prongs of plastic on, which we can see there and there, that's going to help me position the old point motor a little bit more accurately, because that took quite a bit of adjustment just to get the right part there. And obviously installing into the layout, I want to be a bit more accurate first time with it. Now, this is the bit that probably none of us like really, dismantling layouts that work perfectly well in the first place, but hopefully we'll have it all back together with added play value. I'm using an old Prestige palette knife there to pick up the track, It lifts it really nicely, it's very flexible, you can get it in from quite a steep angle and prevents damaging the track. And we're going to get those points out. We are going to take the old point motors out there and put some different ones on, and we'll clean up the old connections on the points as well while we've got them out. It'll make it easier. Just get into that double straight there where we're going to fit one of those uncoupling ramps. Here I've got the double straight and I've already released the rail by pulling down gently on this end and pushing the rail from the other end, so it pushes these two metal prongs over the track bed. So we'll pull that out. So we're going to have to file a recess in that. See those two metal prongs there, they just sit in that hole there. You just got to pull it down enough just to release that and push on the other end on a hard surface. So where I've marked the rail there, I'm just going to file a recess on the underside of the rail. I've already clipped off and finished off the old sleeper ends there where the point motor is going to sit. So I've just filed a little recess out on the underside of the rail there, just under that point there where we're going to have the slider. So there's a little bit of trial and error there, so I'll try that before I take any more out. But judging by how I did the last one, that looks about right. So the little plastic base for the slider here, I've already removed the one end, and I'm going to remove these pieces as well because they're not needed, otherwise I can't glue that into the old base. So we've glued that in, and you can see why we had to trim all of those pieces off, and that's the little bit that slides in and out and pushes up the ramp, and that's going to slide freely through there. And the hole in the bottom there could be used for a beneath the board point motor to operate this, but we're just going to use surface mounted point motors. So it's time to put back in the rail on this side, and then we'll get the whole thing all back together, and we'll be able to install the frame which holds the old operating ramp in there. So that just simply pushes back in, just thread it back through the track like that, and then at the other end we just got to ease that plastic back a little bit and push that back into place, and there we go. So we've got one part of it all put back together, And there I've got the second rail back into position, and I've put that over the slider, and it holds the whole assembly together. And you can see that recess I cut out in the rail has just allowed that to slide freely backwards and forwards to operate the ramp. So I've just stuck a little piece of card over those two little plastic supports there. And I'm going to put another one over there, and then it's these two pieces of card which sit onto the old sleepers. So otherwise there's no other way really of mounting it. I have found that the little plastic tabs which go under the rail on the System 6 do sit on the base of the rail on the Super 4, but there's just simply isn't enough of it to glue and make a strong enough joint. So I've discovered that just that little piece of card there, and I'll put another one there, is enough to support it. And again, that was just trial and error, finding the right width. And in the end, I used the card from an old packet of sticky tack. So if you're looking for card, it's about that sort of thickness. I know it's not terribly scientific. I thought I'd give it a test run before I put it on the layout. And I've pinched the old ramp from the other one I was playing with, and I'll cut off the ribs or fins on this one another time just to speed things up. So I got the point motor installed, and I discovered that little plastic part which I cut off, the first one, before installing it. I should have really cut off this one. It was no help in positioning the point motor at all, so next time straight off with that as well. So we've got that installed, we've got it wired up, so we'll just bring these wagons along, push them back together, and then we'll throw the old switch. Nice reassuring click, and there we go. Nicely done. So we'll put those to one side, and we'll have a quick go with the older wagons with the Mark II couplings. So we'll switch that ramp off again, and we'll pop these on the old track. There we go. Get those joined up. So into the centre of the ramp again, and we'll throw the old switch, reassuring click again, and then off they go. And the other thing we're interested in with these wagons is their ability to go over them without uncoupling accidentally, and I think we have that there. So I think we'll go ahead and get this one installed onto the layout, and we'll just clean this little bit of black magic marker off the old rails. As I mentioned earlier, I'm going to clean up these points, all the obvious connections on them, and replace the point motors with some slightly earlier ones with a plastic casing, which I happen to think look a little bit better on the layout. The point blades, they tend to sort of bow downwards. When I'd first spotted it, I had thought that it was overzealous cleaning by a previous owner, but having adjusted them all back again, you do find over time they tend to bow downwards and cause the trains to dip slightly and possible stalls occasionally, so you can adjust those back. Now we'll get these new point motors in and test them as well before we put them down on the board, so rather than finding out they don't work, so they need a little bit of cleaning, I think. And they're very simple things. We'll get them slotted back in, check the rails again. So we've got both of those points done now, and we'll start getting the track back down. There's the rail with the uncoupling ramp. It's always nice when things go back roughly where you thought they came from. I'm going to try and reuse the holes for the track pins as well, and I'm going to drill some holes in the new double straight there to hold it down, just so I can push the pins in rather than pushing it through the wood too heavily. It all seems to be going quite nicely. There we go, pin that down, and then we've got to mark up where we've got the hole for the wire. Pop a hole in there. Got to thread all that wiring in, and then I'll get it all connected up. I'm not going to video that, it's far too boring underneath the baseboard, and we'll have a look. So there we go, I've got it all installed eventually and wired up. Now the little piece of masking tape on there with the line was, when I had it on the bench, that little line lines up with the centre of the slider which operates the ramp, and I put in a little marker so I can see from sitting at the controls where to line the old train up so I can uncouple it. Now I think what we're going to do is we'll get this 3F tender locomotive out with the Mark II couplings, on this short rack of suburban coaches. We'll bring it around the layout and we'll see if I can uncouple the old engine and then run it around through the crossovers here and take the coaches away in the opposite direction. So we'll open points number 11 there and we'll bring out the old 3F tender loco with those suburban coaches. They do have a little bit of a wobble on them, got great big flanges on the wheels, so I don't think they're going to fall off. Out onto the old inside line, we'll switch those points behind them and off around the layout we go. Terrific looking train this. Tiniest bit of wheel slip I think on this loco. She's got the solid wheels, there's no magnesium here on this early model. All Mark II couplings on the entire train. Along up to the station here, and let's see if we can stop reasonably accurately on the uncoupling ramp. There we go, and then we'll need to back it up. There we go, magic, look at that. We do like that. And we'll open the crossover there, points number 8, and we'll back her through there, past the coaches and through number 7 at the back there. Nice and smoothly. And then we'll switch the old points again. And then we'll collect the coaches. And off back into the first radius curve, running tender first. Terrific sound this model. All those plastic wheels as well. Now we need to run it over that uncoupling ramp and see if the whole lot stays coupled. So what we don't want is unintentional uncoupling. Here we go, getting closer. Looks pretty good, doesn't it? Nice wobble on that coach. It's all part of it though. Now we'll have a completely different train. We'll give it another go. So we've got the old Black Princess, the brightly coloured short coaches, onto the old uncoupling ramp there, and then we'll back her up. There we go, magic again. Now we'll take her around to the old engine sheds and we'll get a different locomotive out smoothly through there. We'll just go beyond points number 18 there, I think that one is, not number 11 as I was about to say. And open 17 so we can get her onto the turntable there. Nicely up onto the bridge. Rotate and we'll back her off into the engine shed. And we're going to get the old Battle of Britain locomotive out next. There we go. Smoothly out. Nicely behaved onto the old bridge there. And off we go again. It's got a very solid sound, this model. We'll switch the points and we'll back her up around the layout and bring her to a stop just before we get to the uncoupling ramp and put the ramp down again. Great sound. All these models have got great sound. Here we go. Down with the ramp. And then we'll back her up and collect the coaches. Very colourful train now, this. There we have it. And away you go. Thank you very much for watching. If you look back again next week, we'll have something else from the old Hornby range. Goodbye now.